All right, we're going to talk about Andor. This is episode 5 of the first and only season so far. It's called The Axe Forgets. Hello out there, I'm the oldest nerd, and talking about Andor, this is another one of those preparatory episodes. This is something that has bothered us in the previous Star Wars television series. We've had in the Book of Boba Fett, also in Obi-Wan Kenobi, there seemed to be a lot of getting the backstory out of the way before getting on to the actual story. And we have that here as well. I think the only time that we have been able to get just right into it was in The Mandalorian. The first season of The Mandalorian was one that started out with something interesting and threw some flashbacks in to let you know kind of where he came from. At any rate, the Axe Forgets is a play on a line that is delivered by one of the characters that talks about oppression by the Empire. The axe forgets, that is, the aggressor doesn't give as much credence to what he's doing as the tree, who's the one that gets chopped. So this is where they are there. We're getting into the personalities of this group of proto-rebels, and we find, of course, that all of them are there because they believe in one way or another of their mission. And we know that our hero, Andor, who is going by Clem, is not being completely honest with them, and it becomes fairly obvious to them that he's not. There are some things that he's not saying, and they're not trusting him. And so he's having to basically let go of the big secret that he's being paid for what he's doing. He says, "I'm here to win," and walk away. So his relationship with the others is not necessarily hostile, but I don't think that they believe that he is a spy or going to run away. He's certainly going to be a willful fighter, but his motivation is just different, and that has some discord going about the group. Now, they had said earlier on that they were afraid that if they found out about the fact that he was paid, that it would break up the group. And Luthen, who brought Andor to this group, basically said it's a weak group that could break up over something like that. And so they're probably not. However, I believe that like any kind of caper that has been done in the movies or on television, there's always something that's going to go wrong, and it could have to do with the personalities of the people there. So this should be interesting. This episode is mostly setting up. They're planning by making models and scales and walking the certain number of steps they're going to have to go from one place to the other. They find that Clem knows something about Empire ships and how to fly them and how to unlock their security protocols and other things that would make it more difficult to get away with it. They show with some pride that they're not using any kind of Empire tech. And while they do have some of their own tech, I find it interesting that they used a Polaroid SX70 camera, which came out in the 70s as one of their gadgets. Now, of course, it's painted and it is disguised to look like some kind of high-tech gadget. But the fact of the matter is you can just hear it being opened, and that has a very distinctive sound to it that you know what it is. And it doesn't take a very long look at it to know what it is. I mean, they don't show you the lens side of it, but every other part of it is very familiar. I wish I still had mine. I think it got lost in a move some years ago, and when they quit making film for them, it didn't seem like it was worth much. But now they make the film again, and so I regret that I don't have that camera. That was a very nice, chrome and leather kind of thing there. However, we catch up with some of the other characters as well. Senator Mon Mothma, also her husband Perrin. Mothma, of course, is one who is secretly in cahoots with the rebels, and Perrin probably suspects her, as do some of the other people around her. The Imperial security group, we'll call them their CIA, has a couple of people there who are a little more interested in what's going on than they might normally be. So they're having to go through a bureaucracy that would rather things not rock the boat. Speaking of which, our local security, Cyril, who has now been put out of a job due to the fact that this attempt to catch Andor and Luthen went badly. Most of the local security lost their jobs and were replaced by Empire personnel. So Cyril is now at his mother's house. She is someone who looks very much like an alien Nancy Walker, if you remember her from various 70s and 80s TV shows. At any rate, she is telling him that, he needs to get a real job, and he's got an uncle there that can help him find something interesting. He, of course, is not very interested in any of it. This is going to be developing further on, no doubt. So we have basically the eve of the big caper, and so we're building up to this. Not a whole lot happens here, except that we learn a little bit more about some of the characters and where the conflicts are going to be amongst 2 or 3 groups of them. So it keeps it interesting enough to keep watching, and I guess that's what they want us to do, so we'll do it. And be back next week with another one of these. Meanwhile, why not leave your comments below and subscribe if you haven't done so already, and you can do that by clicking subscribe below, or you can also click the Circle N logo, which is in the corner of your screen in a moment. So until next time, don't go far.